Moving slightly away from just finding the mean, median, and mode, it's still going to be kind of a mean. We're going to talk about something called weighted averages. So let's say we have two students. So these are, student A took these 5 courses in grade 12 and has, I know it's supposed to be 6, but 5, and got those marks. And student B got these marks in roughly the same subjects. And they're both applying to, we'll say, a physics program. And like many universities, they take the average, and whoever has the higher average gets into the program. So let's see who has the higher average. So the mean of student A is going to be 54 plus 95 plus 63 plus 64 plus 98, all divided by 5. Which is going to be 54 plus 95 plus 63 plus, plus 98 divided by 5, and that's going to be 74.8. So student A has an average of 74.5%. Student B, if we look at their marks, so that's this person's marks. We're going to have 85 plus 52 plus 92 plus 75 plus 60, all divided by 5, which is going to be 85 plus 52 plus 92 plus 75 plus 60 divided by 5 is going to be 72.8. And this is the winner. And then the other person goes off and does not get to join physics. But if you look at these marks, what do we notice? We look at these marks. So student A was the winner, but student A got really high marks in English and dance, and not so great in physics. But student B, on the other hand, did pretty well in physics and math, and not so well in English and dance, and neither of them did particularly well in chemistry. But you may feel, if you're applying to a physics program, that student B might be the person who would be more suited towards the program. So instead of doing a straight average, you might do something called a weighted average. Now the way a weighted average works is you say, okay, I have these subjects. So I have my math and my English and my physics and my chemistry and my dance. And I'm thinking, okay, so which matters the least towards physics? So not necessarily what matters the least in life, but what matters the least in physics. So we're gonna assign some weights. And the higher the weight, the more important it is. So high weight equals more important. So I'm going to say, okay, so probably, if you're going to do well in physics, probably dancing is the least. And I'm going to call that a weight of 1. And English, you know, maybe I'd say it's more important than dance, and maybe we're going to say it's 4 times as important as dance. And then I'm going to say that chemistry is 23. And these numbers are arbitrary. They're made up. It's just kind of what you feel. You could weight them however you want. So maybe the math is twice as important as the chemistry, sort of, but 42 times as important as the dance, but only 10 times as important as the English. And the physics, if you're applying to a physics program, probably pretty important. And the weights don't even have to be whole numbers. I mean, I could have said that the weighting of the dance was 0.3, for example. And that would have been a very acceptable weighting. So then what we do is we say, okay, now we're going to take a weighted average. So a weighted average, the formula for a weighted average is you take the first value and you multiply it by its weight. And you take the second value and multiply it by its weight. And the third value and multiply it by its weight. And ... that's math for etc. All divided by the sum of all the weights, again with a etc. If you want to write that in a fun way, we could say that the weighted average, here, I'll write this the formula for the weighted average is going to be the sum of the values times the weights divided by the sum of the weights. Technically, there should be some other symbols mixed in there to show the range and stuff like that, but this is how I'm going to show it for now. So it's the sum of the values times the weights divided by the sum of the weights. So using these weights and using these marks, let's try to figure out what their weighted average is. So what we could say, essentially what's happening also is that we're saying that it's like the dance mark appears once and the English mark appears 4 times and the chemistry mark appears 23 times. So it's kind of like a frequency table almost. So what we do, so we're going to find, oh, I don't have enough space here to work everything out. And look at, so we're going to say that the weighted average of student A is going to be, so in math I got a 54, and the math weighting was 42, plus their mark plus a 95 times a 4 plus an 82, oops, I did their mark so's first, plus a 63 times an 82. I'm going to run out of room here. Plus, the mark in chemistry was a 64 and the weighting was a 23. Plus, that's a good mark in dance, but the weighting is only 1. And we divide by the sum of the weightings, and the sum of the weightings is going to be 42 plus 4 plus 82 plus 23 plus 1. And overall, that is going to give us 54 times 42 plus 95 times 4 plus 63 times 82 plus 64 times 23. I'm going to do kind of a halfway point over there. And then 42 plus 4 plus 82 plus 23 plus 1 equals 152. And my overall weighted average is 152,070 divided by, and something went wrong. Boom, boom. 54 times 42 plus 95 times 4 plus 63 times 82 plus 64 times. Wow, my top number's not even close. So that was actually wrong. So it's actually going to be 9384. Yeah, because I got 1,000 there, and it's pretty unlikely that the average of that was 1,000 when most marks were not even close to that. So 9384 divided by 152 is 61.7%. So while the person's average was 74.8%, right now, once we weight it according to the physics program, it's only 61.7%. So let's do student B now. So student B, so the weighted average of student B is going to be, let's do it a little bit smaller so I can actually fit it. The mark, oh, it's the wrong person. I was doing A. 85 times the weight of 42 plus 52 times 4 plus 92 times 82. Well, that's going to be big. It's still not going to fit. Plus 75 times 23 plus a miserable dance mark that counts for almost nothing. Divided by, presumably will still be 152 because it's the same weights. So that's going to be 85 times 42 plus 52 times 4 plus 92 times 82 plus 75 times 23 plus 60. 13,107. That's looking already much bigger. And that's going to be 86.2%. So, if we summarize, so the original averages were 74 and 78, but when we weighted it, the average of B was 86.2%, and the average of A was 61.7%. So the weightings in this case really reduced this person's mark, really increased this person's mark because they were strong in the things we cared about, and therefore, with the weighted average, person B would be the winner. And of course, let's say you were applying to a dance program, it might be really different, right? In that case, if you're applying to a dance program, maybe the weight of the dance would be, 400, 500. And the weight of chemistry might be 0.2. And well, English, you got to write a good reflection. So that's like a 70 or something like that. Probably don't need much physics. But again, the weights are arbitrary. All that matters with weights is that they compare them to each other.